Well, as probably everybody knows, yesterday Charlie Kirk's neck exploded in this most glorious way that most martyrs probably hoped their deaths was.
Hold walk! Holster!
Now that we've cleared the room of about a third of the people who don't have a sense of humor, let me explain just a little bit why his death means so much to me. And at the same time, tackle a question that I'm seeing from, right and left wing people that, like, Charlie hated? Did Charlie hate? And this is a difficult question to answer because there is a lot of gray between don't love and hate. And I think I've got a fairly unique answer to this that, might satisfy some people. But first, I really want to tell you why his death meant so much to me. Now, Charlie and I, we grew up on separate sides of Christianity. I'm sure you guys have realized the ideological split. The left really take verses like, the sheep and the goats very seriously. Conservatives got their verses. I'm not trying to get into anything. I'm just trying to say that there is this obvious political divide that is based upon lots of Christians reading certain parts of the Bible and ignoring others. Now, while Charlie was likely listening to people like, Jimmy Swaggart, Ted Haggard, Joel Osteen, I was listening to other Christians. One in particular, one of my favorites, one of the greatest artists of this time.
This is a protest song.
Hey, fuck Anita Bryant. Who the hell is she?
Wait, do y'all not know who Anita Bryant is?
Because if you don't flaunt it, who's going to know you're homosexual or not, you see? What they wanted to do was to flaunt it and to not lose their jobs because of it. If we were going to go on a crusade across the nation and try to do away with the homosexuals, then we certainly would have done it on June the 8th after one of the most overwhelming victories in the country. But we didn't. We tried to avoid it and went into a place called Norfolk, Virginia, and were met with protest and all kinds of problems. And every...
Security agent, security agent.
No, let him stay.
No.
Let him stay.
Well, at least it's a fruit pie.
And as I said before, David Allan Coe was an amazing artist, and unbeknownst to most people, but beknownst to me, he was also a civil rights leader. The bit of the song that I played before is his song about Anita Bryant, the one that just got a pie to the face. Now, I don't speak PC. It's not like my first language. It's not like my 100th language. But I'm going to do my best to translate David's grimy lyrics into something more palatable. So, hey, F. Anita Bryant, who the heck is she? Telling all them F slurs that we can't be free. And he says they, but I'm a we. Throw that female dog in heat in prison. Maybe then she'll see just how much these gosh darned homosexuals mean to me. There's an interview out there where David is actually complaining about his fans. And he's got fans that came to hear, Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone? Because, boy, that was the hit of the time. But then they would boo when he would play F. Anita Bryant. And he couldn't wrap his mind around how they couldn't see the songs as being the same thing. Because to him, these songs were songs about love. Christ's love. I mean, the man's been a Christian his whole life. This interpretation divided Charlie and I on many things.
If Jesus fed people for free, taught people for free, and healed people for free, why don't we do the same?
Churches should.
Churches should? Okay. But why can't we do that on a more systemic level through government programs? Hey, maybe private companies with all of their record profits. Why hasn't Elon put up some of his own private money to help end homelessness?
Because homelessness is not a money problem. Almost every single one of them has either mental problems or drug disorders. It is not a matter of lack of capital. It's that they should either be in an asylum or they're doing hard drugs and they don't want to stop. We have
The
homelessness.
asylums that Ronald Reagan defunded? The asylums that Ronald Reagan
Yes, if we want to talk about bringing back asylums, I'm all for that.
I'm about to be reading from Matthew 25. I'm going to start around verse 31 and just kind of paraphrase. And this is talking about when the Son of Man comes to God in all his glory, all the nations gathered before him, right? Judgment day. And the king will separate, God will separate the people into two groups, sheep and goats. And he tells the righteous group, he tells them, you're the righteous, you get to come into heaven. And they're like, why do we get to get into heaven? And God says, when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat, something to drink. When I was a stranger, you let me in. When I needed clothes, you clothed me. When I was sick, you looked after me. When I was in prison, you come to visit me. And then the righteous, they was like, Lord, when have you ever needed anything? And God told them, well, when you loved the least of these, you loved me. And forgive me for saying, I don't feel like I felt a bit of Christ in what Charlie Kirk was saying. Now, I'm not trying to say Charlie was Satan, that he was devoid of Christ's love. Honestly, I think that in many ways he is able to show Christ's love. It's just often we have differences of opinion on what exactly that means. But he was sweet, right?
Is that Erica again?
It is Erica again. Hi, Charlie. So since meeting you,
We made friends earlier. She was homeless a year ago, and now she's thriving. How great is that? Isn't that?
Since meeting you a few short hours ago, I've already had numerous people remove me on Instagram and tell me they can no longer be my friends because I'm here at a free event learning both sides of the spectrum. Live and let live. Everybody can live however they want. They can do whatever they want. And my question for you is, do you have any hate? And is Turning Point USA against the LGBT community? Because I'm being told that by coming here and listening to you speak that I'm either a racist or a fascist or against the LGBT. And isn't fascism when someone doesn't agree with your beliefs and your views and they want it either your way or the highway?
Yeah, the people that defriended you on Instagram, they're the fascists. So I do not have hate for a group. I do not have hate for a people. I have hate
just
for
so I can get it on my camera. So Instagram,
don't worry, we
hi.
got plenty of cameras, but yeah.
But yes, so you do not hate the LGBT community,
Well, no,
and Turning Point is not against LGBT.
No, how could I hate that which I have a heart for?
And yeah, Charlie could be very, very sweet. But as we know, we must beware of the wolves in the sheep's clothing.
Do you care to address my main contention that Christ affirmed biblical marriage in the book of Matthew?
When I look at things like this, I don't know why I should look at Charlie as anything other than a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, this verse is right here in front of me right now. What do you guys see? Do you see rules and regulations? Do you see something structured in the way, say, like Leviticus? No, this is about a discussion that Jesus had with Pharisees. They were asking about divorce. Jesus quotes Genesis 2, which is from the creation story. He's quoting the Bible from about the point where Eve is created. This is the creation story, not a place where we were laying down rules and regulations. That was later on. It was Leviticus. And if you just scroll down just a notch, and I'm not saying that anyone should necessarily use this verse this way, but this verse right here is closer to being accepting of people despite whatever they're doing. He talks about how there's Enochs from birth, and there's Enochs that have been made that way by others, and then there's some that do it to try to follow the kingdom of heaven. And those who can accept it should accept it. And speaking of Matthew, it's not even the same book. It's Matthew 25. Just scroll down a little bit. We find a story that I think describes Charlie. You got Man comes up to Jesus and asks him, how does he get eternal life? And Jesus tells him, keep the commandments. And he asked which ones, and Jesus, names the commandments. And he said, I've done all these things. What do I lack? And Jesus said, if you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions, give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come follow me. And the man was sad and, walked away because he was very wealthy, and this was hard for him to do. And then we get the famous parable about, a camel fitting through the eye of a needle before a rich man winds up getting into heaven. Now, this isn't to say that no rich men get into heaven, I don't think. I definitely don't think it means that, every rich person you ever find is bad. I think this is more about how hard it is, rich or poor, to step away from the material life and follow something bigger than yourself. But I can tell you, I'm not going to be like Charlie and interpret this verse to mean that we should hate rich people or that, there's something about them we shouldn't be accepting of. That's silly. No, I'm not going to look at this and try to figure out a way to control you. I don't want to control you. I want to be accepting of you. Honestly, if I'm going to be a little unchristian for a moment, I think Charlie Kirk was a snake oil salesman. I think a lot of the evidence is in the fact that he never tried to have a conversation with anyone who disagreed with him that might have wisdom, knowledge. He preyed upon the young. He preyed upon them, I would say myself, just to fuel his narcissism and his bank account. He's like Steven Crowder, Yeah, sure, you're going to look good owning a bunch of college kids. But honestly, when some dumb redneck like me can dispute what your entire ideology is based upon with, less than a page of the Bible. And trust me, I'm going to cut myself off at that. I could go on and on and on and just run Charlie Kirk into the ground, but I don't want to beat a dead horse. Bad time for that analogy. Oh well. Maybe we've lost 2/3 of the PC crowd now. And kind of try to answer that question. I don't know if Charlie Kirk acted out of a lack of compassion or out of hatred, but often the two are hard to tell apart from one another. I know that I see the same thing within my own party, so I'm not trying to say that there's something dark and mysterious about Charlie. Just that these are really hard questions to answer. I really wish I would have had a chance to sit down and debate Charlie, have a conversation with him, something like that. Maybe no one ever actually pointed out what Matthew 25 said to him. Maybe. I don't know what kind of man he was. Maybe he was a decent man trying to do what he thought was right. And maybe he was, a conniving evil genius that realized that money was better than being poor. I don't know what to tell you on that. But I can tell you one thing. He didn't damn deserve to be shot. Whoever this ideological piece of shit is, you're bringing out my inner Charlie Daniels. No, seriously. If we catch them, let's just take them down to the swamp, put them on their knees, tie them to a stump. Let the rattlers and the snakes and the gators and everything do the rest. As much as I've despised Charlie since pretty much I've known him, as much as what he says I consider to be an affront to my faith and to how we as Americans should treat one another. He was nothing compared to you. You're terrible. You're going to hell. There's likely no chance that you just, no. As a matter of fact, if I get to heaven and you're in heaven, I'm going to keep trying to throw you in hell for all of eternity. Now, Charlie, I don't know if you wound up there or down there. That's not for me to decide, that's for sure. But I can tell you that I am already missing the conversations that I wish we'd had. Rest in peace, sir. We hardly knew you.